Oh, we are live. Okay. So, hey. Thanks a lot, folks, for joining in. It's 30 minutes after midnight in IST and it's lunchtime in EST. Thanks again for joining. Just a quick introduction about myself. I'm a developer evangelist at Aviyel. And what exactly are we doing at Aviyel? So, Aviyel's on a mission to create scalable monetization avenue for projects. And at the same time, we are aiming for doing everything that we do while preserving its open source character. That is very important to us. And we also believe in empowering strong incentivized communities around projects. And this also involves driving projects discovery, adoption, growth. And basically, to sum it all up, at its core, we are helping open source projects scale and also make them sustainable. And also, like, before starting the session, just to let you know, today we have an amazing speaker on the stage with us today. We have Alexandra Martinez. She's a developer advocate at MuleSoft. So, hey, I have done my bit of research, but it's only fair that we hear the introduction from Alexandra herself. So yes, Alexandra, please go ahead.
Thank you so much. Well, my name is Alexandra Martinez. You can call me Alex if you want. As you said, I'm a developer advocate at MuleSoft. And before joining MuleSoft, I was actually a MuleSoft developer myself. So I am very into this product and I really love it. So that's why I became a developer advocate.
Great. Yeah. But then, so before actually we start the session, can we also dive a little into your journey till now? So from what I understand is you have had almost 9+ years of experience as a developer. And then at the same time, you switched to developer relations. So I'm kind of curious about this transition. As I've interacted with so many devils and everyone's journey is different and why they actually switched. So I would like to know that. And also if you could tell me about the whole journey, like how did you just get into development and how was that whole transition into the devil thing? Yeah, basically also how did you just get to know about that there is this thing that exists which is known as developer relations?
Sure. Well, going very back, I started my journey in development in like 2012 because I was in Mexico. I was living in Mexico and I joined this high school that was actually teaching how to program. So all of my high school, I got classes in Java, in C#, in C++, or whatever. I learned what is Linux or stuff like that. And because I was like 16 years old or something like that, but because I already knew how to program, I was able to get a job when I was still in high school. So in 2014, more or less, I got my first job as a QA. It was really like just a how do you say that? Like a manual QA. You were just like pushing buttons and stuff. But I was able to be there with all of the other developers and kind of shadow what they were doing and learn what they were doing. So I was in that job for like 2 years or so. And then I had an exchange program in like college to Germany. So when I moved to Germany, I also had some studies done in Germany and also some more internships that I was able to do there. And I continued learning. When I came back to Mexico, I continued being a developer. I was no longer a QA. And I think around 2018, I got a job here in Canada. So here I am now. And in all my journey, I was just going through different technologies. So I went through PHP using the Laravel framework. I went through, Visual Basic also in one of my jobs. Also C#, also Java. But at the end, like in 2017, more or less, I got introduced to this thing called MuleSoft. I was a Java developer back then, but I was working at a consultancy. So as you may know, you have to have different clients. And so the Java clients were not accepting me for some reason. So I started learning MuleSoft. And we got a client that wanted me as a MuleSoft developer, even though I didn't have any previous experience. So I went ahead, did all my training, and got my first MuleSoft certification. And then it just went from there, because I noticed, like, for example, doing something very simple in Java would take days sometimes. And in MuleSoft, you could do it in like 5 minutes or so. So it wasn't really that hard. And within 1 or 2 months, you would be very familiar with the whole platform and what you have to do. So for 3 or 4 years, I was a developer, ever since like a junior developer, intermediate developer, and I got to be a senior developer. And then I started doing some of tutorials or blog posts or videos on my own. I have a website called ProstDev.com, and that really got me into content creator since like 1 or 2 years. And I just really liked it. I really like creating blog posts or videos, because I know how the community really learns with my content. And even if no one learns about it, someone, like just one person in the whole world, is going to see my blog post and is going to find it useful. So that's good enough. And I really started enjoying doing that kind of stuff. Then when I saw like there was a new job in MuleSoft to become a developer advocate, I was like, okay, yeah, I need to try this. And I honestly didn't think that I was going to pass just because I don't have any actual experience in DevRel. But somehow I nailed it. And here I am. I am a developer advocate at MuleSoft and enjoying it a lot.
Yeah, definitely. Like, this is something that I've seen very common with a lot of DevRel folks. They always start with content creation. Some way or the other, they'll either be writing blog posts, or either they'll be into YouTube or creating videos, especially tech videos, obviously, because developer relations. But then, so how did you, how was the transition like? Like, what was the first time that you actually heard about developer advocacy, developer relations, and all this stuff? So was that some kind of event that you went ahead with, or was it some online tutorial that you looked forward to? Well, I mean, I just want to know. I'm just curious.
Yeah, actually, it was also with MuleSoft. There was this other developer advocate called Jordan Schutz. Hey, Jordan, if you hear this. And I didn't know what a developer advocate was, honestly. I think I've only seen like stuff like ambassador or evangelist or stuff like that, but it was like an informal position. It was not an actual position. But then when I saw that Jordan was a developer advocate at MuleSoft, I was like, okay, what is that position? And what does that mean? So yeah, I started Googling a lot, trying to understand what it was. And I didn't actually get into it. I just continued doing like my content creation. But then when I saw that MuleSoft posted the job to become a developer advocate, I'm like, okay, so this is a possibility. And I started actually investigating more and like following people in Twitter or like getting into Slacks, stuff like that. And I noticed that I really liked what they were doing, and it wasn't ever a possibility for me that it could become a career until I saw that job posting, and I'm like, okay, that like I can do this. I can do this for like a career. And so yeah, now I'm really happy with it.
I mean, I relate a lot. Definitely the first developer relations job, the first time you apply, you're always thinking that I don't have the experience, or there's always this imposter syndrome at the back of the mind, right? That will I get it or not? And if I don't, then what is the next step ahead, right? But then, yeah, it obviously played out, and here we are. So yeah, but then also now that we actually start the session, that this to the audience folks, I would like to tell this session is about how MuleSoft has changed, has made Alexandra's life easier. But before we dive into the whole ecosystem of MuleSoft, from what I understand is MuleSoft is also, it is all about integrations and API, right?
Yeah.
And almost everything nowadays works with that. But everything is integrated with APIs. And then there's integration of platform and services, sub-services. everything is connected with another. So what exactly is MuleSoft, and what exactly are they focusing on?
Sure. Honestly, it depends on how you use it, because you can do different things with it. I know that some people use it as an ETL, just like including all kinds of processing. Some people use it as an ESB, so just like an orchestrator to move between systems or APIs. But you can also create APIs from scratch within MuleSoft. So you can start from creating the API specification, for example, and then building it, testing it, and then like publishing it for everyone to see or stuff like that. So I think it's a great tool because it has almost, or if not all of the aspects of the delivery lifecycle for a system in tech. And something to notice is that it is based on Java, but you do not have to know Java in order to use it, which is awesome. Again, I was a Java developer and I really liked it, but I think there are some things that you can do more efficiently with other kinds of tools. And I don't know, it has like online products, it has an IDE that you can install, it has a lot of different products that are also coming in the pipeline.
Okay, yeah, definitely. So ESB is something that I've actually read about while I was researching about MuleSoft, and it is something widely used, right? It is very, very widely used. And also there was this comparison between Java and we'll come to that later. That is pretty exciting stuff, but then we'll come to that later. But then also I had a very basic follow-up. Like most of the folks now know that MuleSoft they offer multitude of services, right? Or sub products, if we can say. And there are a lot of things under MuleSoft. So what are the most used MuleSoft products by developers that are out there?
Yeah, the most useful, I would say, it would be the IDE, because it is free. You can just download it and have it in your computer. And we do offer a trial account for the online products that you can use, but that trial account has like 30 days expiration. So you can create a new account after the 30 days, but it can be kind of annoying to switch the accounts every now and then. But the IDE that you can download, you can have it in your local every time, and like it's never gonna go away. So you can use the local product, the IDE, to do your integrations if you want. You can deploy your applications in your local. You can test them, try them, do anything that you want with them. And also another product that's kind of new, it's called the online DataWeave Playground. So you see, DataWeave is the language that we use in MuleSoft, and it's a functional programming language.
Yeah.
And you can use this online DataWeave Playground, like just going to a browser and putting the link there, and you will be able to test all of the DataWeave scripts that you want, which is also very, very used. And it's kind of new, which is awesome. And you can also, for example, with this DataWeave Playground, you can download it with a Docker image and you can run it in your local computer using Docker as well. So you don't have to go to the link. I would say those are the most used products because they're free and they don't have an expiration date. But you can also use the Anypoint Platform account, which is an online account, and just with a 30-day trial.
Makes sense. Yeah. Okay. That actually covers it all. Basically, for the ones who are very new to the product, they can still test all of its features, right, in the trial fail itself, and it's basically the whole testing and the integration, everything can be done at the same place, basically, right?
Yeah. Anypoint Platform, the online account that you create there, you have different products that you can use. For example, there's one product called Runtime Manager, which is where you can deploy your applications and have them running, and you're able to stop them, start them anytime that you want, and you can have the public URL to access them. Or for example, there's something called API Manager, which is this product where you can set up policies, for example, like basic authentication or rate limiting or stuff like that. So you can put more security into your APIs, and you can do all of this without touching a single line of code. So just like going in and clicking buttons and setting everything up, which is awesome. And then, for example, there's a design center when you can go and create API specifications like RAML or OpenAPI spec. And again, you don't have to touch a single line of code. You don't have to know RAML. You don't have to know OpenAPI specification. You can just go and click buttons and set up the configurations, and you will have the API specification at the end. You can have the code, or you can publish that API specification directly. And you can synchronize it with your IDE if you want to work on your local instead of working on Anypoint Platform or stuff like that. So it's a pretty big suite that you can use with different products or different aspects of an API, for example, from designing to deploying or testing.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks. That sums it all. Sorry for the follow of that, but then that actually does. And also now we'll come to a topic that interests a lot of folks that are already there. Because obviously both of us we are into developer relations, but then there's a lot of folks in the audience who are also into similar stuff, and especially when it comes to community, it's a very, very huge topic. And similar to that, MuleSoft has more than 14,000 members. It's a very rough figure, but then yes, and also they have a very strong knit community, and they have a lot of programs going on, right? There are mentors, leaders, ambassadors, and just can you just tell us about that? How does that work out and the whole community part?
Yeah, that's my favorite part. So basically, when you start learning MuleSoft, you can have the community's support on this. For example, you can just go to the forums and you can just put your question in a forum, and people from the community are going to come and answer. And they're going to be able to like point you to documentation or tutorials or anything that you may need. But also there's a more interactive way, which is using the meetups. So if you go to meetups.mulesoft.com, you will see like there are hundreds of meetup groups that we have all around the world. So you can find your local city, or you can find maybe another city within your country. And right now, because of COVID, we're almost all doing online meetups. So you can join any single meetup in the whole world that you want. Not all of them are in English, but most of them are in English. So you can just join any single one of them. Or also, if you speak another language, you can just join any of the other languages. For example, there's Spanish, there's Portuguese. I think more people in Europe use their own language as well. So you can just join any of those meetups as well and just speak your own language and learn about MuleSoft. And the good thing about these meetups is that, well, most of the people that present are developers or architects that have a lot of experience in the area. And also there are like more developers that are newly learning MuleSoft, and they can also share their journey, like how they started from scratch into getting like an actual certification or something like that. So you can just join any single meetup that you want, and you will start learning different aspects of what are people doing in the world with MuleSoft. And the best part is that most of them are recorded because they are online now. So you can just go and see the recordings from there as well. And after the meetups, once like you start going to meetups, you can also become a meetup leader if you want. For example, if there's no group in your local city, you can start one just by saying that you want to do it, and that's it. Or also, if there's a local group that only has 1 or 2 meetup leaders, you can apply to become a meetup leader from that group as well, and just offer your help and work with the team. And that is a great way to get your career going, because there are some perks to becoming a meetup leader. Like sometimes you will get certification vouchers or training vouchers, so you can have more of the advanced training in MuleSoft, because the free training is like the very basic training, so to get you started. But there's like the architect training or the production ready development or stuff like that that it is kind of pricey. So you can either be a meetup leader or you can be a speaker as well. If you're gonna become a speaker, even just once, you can also get this perk of getting a voucher for a training or a certification exam. And after all of the meetup stuff, we have the mentors, which is a new program that we just started doing. And basically, if you already are a meetup leader or if you already have some experience with MuleSoft and you want to help others, you can become a MuleSoft mentor. And again, you just have to go and apply, and the DevRel team will have to review your application just to make sure that you have some years of experience, that you know what's going on with MuleSoft. You're not new, but then you can become a mentor if you want. And after having some time being a mentor, you can become an ambassador, which is like the top tier of the MuleSoft community ecosystem. And then if you become an ambassador, you also have some perks, like some free training, free vouchers, or I don't know, free conferences or stuff like that. So it's all for your career. So you can just start by becoming a speaker, just like one topic that you're very good at and you can speak about it. Or just like, hey, I'm new to MuleSoft and I want to talk about my journey. And you can also become a speaker doing that. So yes, we have a lot of people in the community and a lot of tiers.
Definitely. Makes sense. So have there been instances where there have been very, very active communities, like you can say ambassadors or maybe mentors who were not directly part of MuleSoft, but then they were always into that ecosystem, and then they somehow transitioned into being an employee of MuleSoft, something like that? Has that ever happened?
Yes, that was my case. Actually, yeah. I was a MuleSoft ambassadress, and I applied to the DevRel position and I got in. I also know another person that also was a MuleSoft ambassador and then became an engineer in MuleSoft. And then there's another person that was a MuleSoft a MuleSoft mentor. And then she became an employee in training, I think. So yeah, there is that case as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Also, like, I have a follow up to this. Like, what role does developer relations play? MuleSoft's developer relations play in the whole community part of it, and also like what are the key areas? From what I like the backstage, we had a talk where developer relations is structured under marketing. So developer relations, they actually start functioning very differently when they're structured under different teams. So what are the key areas that you focus on, and also some public KPIs that you look forward to that you can share publicly, obviously, not the internal ones, obviously, but the public ones that you look forward to?
Well, I am always looking at the number of views, for example. If a lot of people are reading one specific tutorial, then I will pay close attention to that tutorial to learn, like, okay, why are most people watching this and not this other one, for example? And that will help me a lot to kind of understand what they want to see and what can I do to improve the other tutorials that are not being watched a lot for some reason. So that's a metric that I try to see all the time. Also, like how much time does a person spend on a tutorial or stuff like that, and trying to understand if they're spending so much time there because they don't understand it or because they're actually playing around with it and doing more things. I also try to talk with the community. So not just watching the metrics, but also talking to people, trying to understand what tutorials they like, which ones they don't, and then try to improve whatever we can.
Okay. Yeah, that actually does. Okay. So there's the what would be the best way to structure this? Basically, the active participation of the people and looking at what currently they are finding best suited, or whatever technology they are best focusing on. So, but then just to follow up, how do you make? So there must be a lot of services, right? Like sub-services. There must be some things that might be a little harder than the other services, something like that, where there must be a very huge drop-off between the people who don't want to learn that because it must be very difficult. So how do you tackle those situations? Like, just wanted to know.
Well, I don't have any specific example in mind, but I would say, like, if I know that people are struggling with one specific tutorial and they only get to one point, maybe it's because it's either too long or too complex, or it doesn't have enough steps, or it doesn't have enough information or something like that. I would have to go into it and kind of try to understand why they're dropping off. So depending on what the problem is what I'm going to do. For example, if it's a tutorial that's too long, maybe like it takes you 1 hour to read, like that's just too long. So I would try to break it down in like smaller tutorials, maybe like 10 minutes or 15 minutes tutorials, so that they can go through maybe a series instead of just one long tutorial. Or maybe if there are like very big steps, for example, like install this and then run it, and that's it. Well, maybe people are not understanding how to do that because you're not explaining the whole steps. So maybe just break it down into smaller steps instead of one long step, and like include screenshots or include any commands so that they can just copy and paste the command or stuff like that. Anything that we can add to make it easier, maybe add videos or maybe add GIFs or something like that, so that the reader can see what we're trying to explain and that there's no doubt of what we're trying to do.
That sums it up. Also, like making it as simple as possible, right? Like I've seen a lot of documentations coming from a lot of folks where they are very, very technical focused at the start itself. Even I've also read about keywords, and I've also seen myself firsthand. Keywords play a lot of. They have a very heavy hand when it comes to especially getting to new developers, basically those who are just getting started with the software, right? So so I've seen a huge drop off because of the keywords and the documentation not being there, or even the article just being too long, or even the video, right? Because nobody has that much amount of time. Even if they do, they usually drop off. They would rather watch anime or some movie. But then there's a lot of distractions nowadays. But then documentation, keywords, and keeping it simple, definitely. So now that we have almost covered everything that we wanted to about MuleSoft, so I've also seen this is somewhat on this has been MuleSoft has been there for a while, and it is still on a very much rise, right? You've been also hiring. I've also seen multiple hiring roles coming across LinkedIn. But then how does one actually get started with learning MuleSoft? Like, what are the best resources out there? What would be the best steps to just get started with it?
That's a great question. I actually just released a series of tutorials that you can follow. They were already there, but I just added a few modifications to them and then a video for each one of them. Because I know like some people prefer to watch videos instead of reading. So there's also videos for them to follow. So if you go to developer.mulesoft.com, you will be able to find all of our tutorials that we currently have. And some of them are new, some of them are kind of old. But we've been working as a team to try to update as much of them as we can, so they're always in the last version. So if you go there and just click on the first tutorial, which is like the Hello Mule tutorial or something like that, you will be able to see all of the steps to create your very first Mule applications in just like 10 minutes or so. So it's not going to take that long. And you will be able to follow how to start your free trial, how to download Studio, which is the IDE, and how to deploy applications in your local and also in Anypoint Platform, which is the online platform. And yes, you can follow the series of tutorials. There are like 7, and you will be able to get from not knowing anything until being able to apply policies and being able to deploy and being able to create your very first API specification. So you can follow those tutorials, maybe do 1 a day or something like that. So it's not that much, but you also keep on learning. And that would be my first thought. But also, if you want a more formal training, you can also go to training.mulesoft.com. And there you can see the self-paced trainings. So there's one training that is like 2 days long, and that's a self-paced, so you can do it whenever you want. And that is kind of like introducing you to all of the platform, all of the keywords or stuff like that. Try to understand what MuleSoft is. But if you really want to go into it, you can just take the 5 days training, and that's like the fundamentals, I think. And that one will give you everything you need to know, like how to use databases, how to use Salesforce connectors, how to do different things, how to, I don't know, test the applications with unit testing or stuff like that, how to use DataWeave. It will introduce you to all of the basics that you need to start as a MuleSoft developer. And after that, it will give you like a free voucher so you can try the certification exam, which is very important. If you want to get into a MuleSoft position, most of the employees right now are asking for you to have this first certification, which is a MuleSoft Certified Developer Level 1. Some of them don't, to be honest, but some of them do ask you for that first cert. So that's going to give you like a very nice accomplishment for your CV before getting into an interview. And I wouldn't say that you can just take the training and apply to the cert right away, because the certification does ask for more things that you have to experiment with. So just go into the 5 days training, the fundamentals training, and then try to experiment on your own, try to do some practices, try to do the practice exam, stuff like that. And after spending like a month or 2 months in MuleSoft, then you can try the certification exam. It's a 2-hour exam. It's protected. So it's going to take a while. You have to be ready for that. And if you don't pass at the first try, you can just try it a second time. They give you 2 vouchers, I think. So in the second time, you can, again, try it again. And if you don't pass even that second time, you can just enroll into the training again and get another voucher to try again. But I would say if you didn't pass on the first try, you can always just like use that as a practice test. And then you just learned what you didn't know. And then just come back and take your notes, your mental notes on what you didn't remember about the training, and try to go at it again, try to learn again, try to read again, try to practice again, and then go back to the second attempt of the training, of the certification exam.
Oh, yeah, that covers it all. Yeah, basically it works like most of the certifications out there. And also for the hiring part, you said that the certification is always needed, right? At least level 1, so that people are actually, yeah, that actually makes sense. That how do you apply to MuleSoft without knowing the basics and everything with it? Yes. So yeah, so we talked about learning MuleSoft, the what it takes to what is it taking for the current opportunities that are there. But then yeah, so now we are coming to a little exciting part, at least for me, which was there. So there's this difference in Java versus MuleSoft. And also at the start of the session, you also mentioned that to know MuleSoft, you actually don't even have to know Java, and people, even without knowing Java, they can actually get started. So can you just tell us about that difference between Java, that is Java versus MuleSoft Dev, MuleSoft, and that DataWeave, basically?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Sometimes I actually say, like, if you don't know Java, you will learn MuleSoft easier because it's a different kind of mindset. For example, I came from Java and I started learning MuleSoft, and I didn't know what the integration technologies were like. For example, like TIBCO or IBM, which have like integration technologies. I had never worked with that, so I was not familiar with this kind of perception of just like drag and dropping and configuring stuff. And MuleSoft, like basically everything that you develop in MuleSoft is event-driven architecture. So nothing will work unless there is an event that triggers it somehow. And in Java, you're used to just like creating functions or creating classes or creating methods or whatever. And like you can just go at the program and start doing the program with something. And it's like object-oriented programming, right? But in MuleSoft, it's just events. Like everything is a Mule event, basically, that goes from one component to the next. It's like in a flow. You can actually see the flow. So everything in MuleSoft is visual. You can just drag and drop stuff, components, and configure them, and you will see the flow moving. If you debug the application, for example, you will be able to see how the Mule event is changing from one component to the next in the flow. And then there's DataWeave, which is a programming language that is used in MuleSoft. And as I said, it's a function, forgot the name, programming language that is based on functions. So it's not object-oriented programming, which is also different. So for example, there are not for each statements that you can do because it's not a loop, because it's not going in like a single line. It's just doing all of the functions at once. And so, for example, instead of using a for each or a for or a while, you would have to use something called a map, which is a function that lets you iterate through objects or arrays or stuff, but it will not do it in a sequential way. It will just do it all at once. And you have to kind of get into that mindset as well. It's kind of hard if you come from a structured programming language or an object-oriented programming language. But once you learn DataWeave, your world becomes so much easier that sometimes I just wonder how I didn't know any functional programming languages before, because it just makes everything so much easier. And DataWeave is specialized in like transforming data. So for example, if you have a JSON array that you want to convert into an XML data type, you can just do that with DataWeave in one line. You just need to change one line to change from JSON to XML, and it's super easy. So that's the whole point of DataWeave. It's performant and it's optimized, so you can transform any kind of data, and it doesn't take that long to do.
Yeah, but then at the same time, I guess if people dive into this ecosystem, they might never learn Java then. If they're not well versed in it. I mean, it's up to them. I mean, but then definitely that if it is based on functional programming language, it is obviously very, very, very much easier than Java. Especially when it comes to object-oriented programming language, they're actually quite behind right now, if I must say. But then so that basically covers everything that we wanted to for the session. So just a quick quick rundown to whatever we did. We talked about Alexandra's journey, and then how she transformed her role from a developer when she was very much focused on Java, then to MuleSoft and becoming a developer advocate. Then we talked about basics of MuleSoft ecosystem, where there's a lot of components, there are a lot of services, APIs, integration. There's DataWeave that we know now. What it is a language that MuleSoft is focused on. Then one of the main things that we wanted to dive into was developer relations and community, and how does MuleSoft structure it, and what are Alexandra's views, and how does she tackle certain situations that we talked about. And so that was a lot of knowledge for a very, very, it's almost 40 minutes now. That was a lot of knowledge for a short amount of time. So thanks to all the folks who were joining in. A lot of folks were joining in from India. I know we didn't have a lot of marketing, but then thanks for joining in. But then so Alexandra, thanks for joining in. That was a very great session. That was short. That was pretty short, but then it was great. I'm pretty sure a lot of folks now know about the whole MuleSoft ecosystem even more. Even I know more about it. Then definitely loved your answers about the DevRel things and the community part. I could relate to a lot of it. I could go on and on about DevRel stuff, and especially the community part. All of us can. That's what we do. But then, yes, definitely a great session. Thanks again for joining in. Any closing lines?
Just thank you so much. I didn't know it was midnight for you. So thank you so much for being accommodating for me. And we can do this again if you have any more questions or you want to go into detail on something. We can talk about DevRel if you want. So yeah.
Maybe a session about DevRel, and maybe more into the whole MuleSoft ecosystem. Basically, maybe a tech event would do. I guess we have, because a lot of audience here, most of the audience here are developers rather than DevRel folks or community folks. I guess they'll click more with the technical stuff when they'll go absolutely bonkers about it, I'm pretty sure. But then thanks for joining in, Alexandra. So thanks everyone. We'll catch you in the next one.
Thank you.